Hi, it's Heather. In just a moment, you're going to be introduced to Suzanne. Right now, she is staring down her life, trying to figure out where to begin. And I know that is a pretty daunting place to be. All of this is daunting. While I did my best to walk Suzanne and all of you through a path toward healing, here's what I know in my bones to be true. Healing from trauma is not something you can self help your way through. Childhood trauma wounds are relationship wounds, and you cannot heal those wounds alone. I, of course, hope you have your own therapist, your own tribe, and the support you need on this journey. But I want you to know that if you don't, Mayhem has you. We have a community network of support that surrounds this podcast. We have 2 weekly therapy support groups, Tuesday group and Thursday group, designed to provide connection and guidance. Plus, we have Mayhem Daughters, our private online community that is entirely off of social media. It is a space where daughters can share their healing journeys together. Most of you should be able to find the links for all of those resources in the show notes. However, some of the podcast apps don't allow me to share those links directly. If you're listening and you can't find them but want to join or share your story for Mayhem, please do reach out to me at heather@daughtersnpd.com and I'll be happy to get you connected. And now, on to Mayhem. Today on Mother Mayhem.
It's not good enough because I'm not good enough, and I never will be. As I was leaving, I threw my purse across her condo and screamed, "This has been my whole fucking life."
Welcome back to Mother Mayhem, the podcast for daughters of narcissistic and emotionally limited mothers. I'm your host, Heather Gray. And today, daughters, if this show wasn't already called Mother Mayhem, I would be telling you that I am going to attempt to answer the mother of all questions. Pun intended. Today, I want to talk to you about how you can come to enjoy your life in the present, despite how your lives began with your mothers. How do you work through the pain of childhood trauma enough to feel at peace? How can you be happy and find acceptance when you were born to mothers incapable of connecting with you or loving you? I know it feels like overcoming all of this is insurmountable and that healing can take forever and that it is going to take forever. And in all likelihood, you will be impacted by your childhoods and by how you were raised for your entire lives. However, here's what's really important to know. It will not always feel like the front and center thing in your life. It will not always feel like every thread of your existence chases back to your mom and how she treated you. A podcast like Mother Mayhem will not always be the thing you reach for and click on. It will not always hurt this bad, but right now it does, and we want to honor that. We want to meet you where you are at. We want to validate your pain and your experience, and we want to hold so much hope for you and for your future. This will not be where your story ends, my friends. This is a chapter. And right now, it seems like the chapter or series of chapters that will never end. But I believe you will get on the other side of it. And I believe I can help you with the how of it all, because I am not just here to blow smoke and glitter up your behinds. I really do believe that it gets better. And I really do believe you can heal if you do the work that comes with healing. And today, you all get to join me in holding all of the hope and all of the love in the world for Suzanne, today's daughter. Now, Suzanne, I have to tell you, I named you after Suzanne Sugarbaker from the old TV show Designing Women. Man, I loved that show back in the day, and I have spent my fair share of time going down YouTube rabbit holes watching old clips of the show. There is just something about going back to nostalgic TV. It often can soothe whatever ails me. And if any of you ever need a good laugh or your own walk down memory lane, be sure to do a YouTube search for the night the lights went out in Georgia and Designing Women, and you'll find a really fun clip. Admittedly, that was a scene more featuring Suzanne's sister, Julia. And I kind of always related to the Spitfire tendencies of Julia a little bit more than I related to Suzanne. But Suzanne has my heart for her earnestness and how much harder she had to fight for approval and in how hard it was to be seen. And I think our daughter, Suzanne, can relate a lot to that. And we're lucky because Suzanne shared her story not just in her own words, but in her own voice. These episodes where daughters share their stories in this way are always the most meaningful for other listeners. So, Suzanne, I am so grateful for your bravery and for your willingness to show up as your whole self. We here at Mayhem see you and we believe you. And we know that parts of your story are going to be hard to listen to. And that means this is where I remind all of our listeners that today may not be your day for a hard story. Suzanne's story includes sexual violence, and that may not be the right time for you to be listening to this, and that's okay. It's important that we give Suzanne her time and her space, and that we take care of her by letting her share her story in her own words and in her own voice. But the only way this works is if we remind you that you can take care of yourselves. And that might mean that today's not your day for this episode. It might mean that you pause and come back at another time, or it might mean that you just skip this one and come back next week. Whatever you decide, we understand wholeheartedly and we support that choice. And now, Suzanne, here's your story. And I'm going to find you all on the other side.
Dear Heather, after listening to multiple podcasts, I felt led to write you a letter. As the other daughters say, if my story helps others, it's worthy of telling. Hopefully, my life experience will touch someone who's yet to reach out for help, because I'm the poster child for it's never too late to heal. Thank you, Heather, for the work that you're doing. It's apparent to me that you put your whole self into this mission, and the impact that you're making is the evidence of that. Here's my story. I grew up in a home where religion was the center of everything. My mom preached to us day in, day out, and telling us that we didn't believe and get baptized, we would go to hell. She wouldn't let my father read the newspaper before going to church on Sundays. As far back as I can remember, I was scared as a child, scared to be alone, scared of being kidnapped, scared of sleeping alone, and scared of my mother. I have one brother, 4 years older, who was the golden child. He was smarter, more sophisticated. He was an introvert who never bothered anyone. I came along 4 years later. I was loud. I was fun, extroverted, and into everything. My mother has always been obsessed with everything appearing to be perfect. And when it's not, we certainly didn't address it. At 3 years old, I was shopping with my grandmother, her mom, when all of a sudden we were whisked away to the back of the store. I have a vague memory of being very scared and not knowing what was happening. Years later, I asked my mom, what happened that day? She told me that my grandmother had been shoplifting, and we were taken to the back office by a security guard. When I asked her why, my mom said, I don't know. I came and picked y'all up, and that's it. The stage was set for don't ask questions, do as I say, and you'll be fine. Heather, I've never been fine. My mother was always jealous of my relationship with my dad. She would say, your dad always takes your side. Her goal was to humiliate me in front of him every chance she got. When I was 13, I had gone to the beach with a friend and her family. Because I came home sunburned, my mom was very angry with me. While taking a shower, I heard the shower door open, and there stood my mom with my dad behind her. She said, look at your daughter. She disobeyed me by getting blistered. Mission accomplished. I was mortified. I loved being a cheerleader. I was also on the gymnastics team. I was on student council. I did anything to spend time away from home. I was the comedian of the group that kept everyone laughing. Well, everyone but myself. After high school, I went to college where my mom had gone. Shocker. I didn't want to go to that college, but I did like my newfound freedom. And in that freedom, I found lots of alcohol. I went to a party one night and got very drunk. A friend offered to take me home. We stopped by his trailer to check on some guys playing cards. He said it wasn't safe for me to stay in the car, so I followed him inside. Immediately, I was knocked to the floor, and for hours, I was brutally gang raped by 3 monsters, one being the friend. The next morning, I ran to my dorm and I passed out in the chapter room. That day was sorority initiation, and the dress I had to wear was, you guessed it, white. I prayed during the entire ceremony that I wouldn't mess up my white dress. That night, I went home and braced myself on how I was going to tell my mom about the traumatic event I'd just been through. But of course, she didn't have time to talk that night. She told me whatever it was, we would talk about it later. And we did. 10 years later. I never told a soul. Enter coping mechanism number 1. I worked as a cheer camp instructor during the summers. After the rape, I had put on about 30 pounds. When I arrived for year 2, I was told to lose weight or be fired. Duly noted. I returned to college for what would be my last semester there. When I made it home for Christmas, I got the mail, and to my surprise, there was a letter addressed to me from a plastic surgeon's office confirming my appointment regarding my rhinoplasty, aka a nose job. Yep, my mom scheduled me to have a nose job. And guess what? I did. I did it. This will make her very happy, I thought. Well, I begged my mom to let me transfer to a new college. I wanted a fresh start. I had a new nose. It was a new me, right? Well, I got there and my roommate was an expert on just about everything, but mostly expert on anorexia. She taught me how to lose weight and lose weight fast. Summer arrived and I had lost a lot of weight. Everyone was commenting on how great I looked, which was matched to the fire. For the next 5 years, I ate very little. I would switch from anorexia to alcohol and vice versa. This deadly duo would go on for the next 3 decades. My first hospitalization led to me finally telling my mom about the traumatic event in college. The therapist I was working with said, "Why in the world have you not told your mom?" I said, "Because I know what her response will be. If you hadn't been drinking, this wouldn't have happened." And guess what? That's exactly what she said. Through the years, I've been to therapists, psychiatrists, specialists, hospitals, ranches, rehabs, and never once did anyone ever get to the heart of why I was drinking, why was I anorexic, until my watershed moment. This was in March of this year. I had just gotten home from work and my mom called. "I can't breathe. This is the worst I've ever felt. You've got to get me to the ER." I texted my sister-in-law, who lives 10 minutes from my mom. I live 45 minutes away. And I asked my sister-in-law to get her ready to go to the ER. With flashers on, going 90 miles per hour on an interstate, I arrived in 20 minutes. My sister-in-law is standing at the sink and tells me, "Your mom is fine." When she arrived 10 minutes earlier, she kept calling, "Mom, where are you?" She answered in a weak, pitiful voice from the bathroom. But when she saw my sister-in-law instead of me, she turned around and said, "What are you doing here?" After hearing this, I lost it. She said she felt better. She had taken 2 Tylenol and she wasn't going to the emergency room. We began to argue and she said, "You must be tired." I told her, "I've been taking care of you for 3 weeks." She had had COVID. "And I've done everything I know to do. It's not good enough because I'm not good enough, and I never will be." As I was leaving, I threw my purse across her condo and screamed, "This has been my whole fucking life." After seeing my new counselor, I've gone no contact. My mom is 93 and I'm 62. Yes, you heard that correctly. She's called to apologize, saying, "You know I'm not nice when I feel bad." She's told my daughters that she has no idea why I'm not speaking to her. This is all so real to me. So my questions, will this ever end? Will I regret not talking to her? I'm very sad, but I'm even more relieved that she's not in my life. While driving home from the condo that night, I screamed the whole way home, "How can a mother not love her own child? What have I done to deserve this?" I have a wonderful husband of 31 years, 3 beautiful children, 4 beautiful grandchildren. I have a great life that I just can't seem to enjoy because of this. Heather, I don't know if you've had a case like me. I am a case. But please tell me what you think about my situation. She is 93, so I do have those doubts of, am I doing the right thing? But they're always followed by someone telling me that she is angry that my brother is taking my side and this or that, which just tells me she doesn't get it. She'll never get it. So please, please help me. Thank you, Heather.
Suzanne, you have lived through so much and you have had to survive so much on your own. This reminds me of a podcast episode I saw with Mel Robbins and Gabor Mate. I might have butchered the pronunciation of that name. She tells him a story of a childhood trauma, and he asks who she told, and she admits to telling no one. And he told her that the first trauma that happened in that example wasn't the event. The first trauma was that when she was unsafe, she didn't feel comfortable telling her parents. And when I heard him say that, that landed so firmly for me in my body. I felt the weight of that truth because life can happen to any of us at any moment in time. But if we have safe people to see us through it, to make us less alone in it, we become more capable of healing and finding our way through it. Now, I have heard enough awful stories in this world to know that some parents can be the most loving, nurturing, accepting, and supportive parents possible, and still their kids won't talk to them. But in this instance, Suzanne, I think your experience is speaking to something different. And that is the idea that this awful, awful thing happened to you. This incredibly unsafe thing happened to you. And still, you didn't feel safe talking about it because you knew you would be blamed and shamed for it. That makes healing from trauma all the more hard, scary, and intimidating. And I am so sorry that you had to live through all of that yourself. We talk on this show about how, as a result of being raised the way you were, so often you will be forced to survive and overcome more than just how your mother presented and how your mother parented you, and how, as a result of the way you were parented, healing becomes all the more difficult. Trauma begets trauma sometimes. And when you are all managing awful things that have happened to you, healing can become tangled and get really messy. I'm hoping, Suzanne, that in our time together today, that I'll be able to help you untangle some of what feels so hard and impossible to make sense of. So you asked, will this end? Will I regret going no contact? How can a mother not love her own child? And you also spoke of how you have this great life, but feel unable to enjoy it. In between the lines of your questions, what I really heard you asking was, is healing actually possible? And of course, I believe it is. But I certainly do understand why you might be questioning this. I think it is really important for us to just take a moment and pause. I heard an expression the other day, trauma talk. And it was this reference to how trauma is filling everyone's social media feeds and everyone is talking about it, and how healing is all anyone seems to mention these days. And I first want to offer a friendly neighborhood reminder here and remind all of you that you can help your social media feeds look differently by not clicking on the trauma stuff, or by having a separate account where you look at that stuff and keep another account free and clear. You all should not be bombarded with reminders of your trauma or the 50 million things you supposedly need to heal from every single time you open one of these apps. That being said, social media is shifting the way we have these conversations and the way you all organize these conversations for yourselves. One of the ways I think social media has contributed to a good amount of confusion is you get opened up to 50 million different perspectives on how to heal, what is involved in healing, and all of that. So, first, I want to offer you my mayhem take on what healing is and what I am working with all of you towards. This topic is a beast, and admittedly, I first pared it down with something entirely too trite and too small. I mentioned this the other day. I think it was maybe on last week's podcast. I first went with, healing is when your nervous system feels safe and you can trust yourself to make decisions that honor your well-being. And with that one-liner, I think I'm actually kind of close, because I do think those two things, A safe nervous system and an ability to trust your decisions will honor your well being are strong indicators that you're heading in the right direction. Ultimately, though, I sat with the definition and I found myself in the what about game? What about grief? What about the role of acceptance? What about boundaries? Well, you get the picture. So I knew I needed to wrestle with it a little bit more. And here's what I've come up with that actually seemed to stick and might actually have some legs to it. Try this one on for size and see how it fits you. Healing is the ongoing journey of learning to feel safe in your body, trust yourself, and accept the reality of your past, while also processing your emotions, setting healthy boundaries, and breaking old patterns that no longer serve you. I know that's still quite a mouthful, so let's break it down into bite-sized pieces together. First and foremost, healing is about feeling safe. It means your nervous system finds a sense of calm and isn't stuck in constant fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Healing is also about trusting yourself. It's about believing and knowing that you can make decisions that protect your well being and honor your needs. Self trust is foundational in healing. And it's not just about trusting your decisions, but also believing in your ability to heal and move forward step by step toward peace. Healing also requires acceptance. We are never saying that what happened to you is okay, and we're not giving it permission, but we are acknowledging the reality of your experiences without minimizing or denying them. It means accepting that your past wasn't what you deserved and allowing yourself the space to feel the sadness, anger, or grief that comes with that. Grief is an unavoidable part of healing, and through that grief and recovery, you start to let go of the parts of your past that no longer serve you. We can't do any of this without a heavy amount of emotional processing. This means learning to let your feelings flow without letting them take over. Healing also inevitably means learning to set boundaries. You learn when saying yes or no will protect your peace. Doing all of this will, of course, help you break old habits and patterns of being that no longer reflect who you are or how you want to move through the world. Healing is layered. I try to make it clear and simple so we know what we're working from, but as you've all experienced already, it is not a one-time fix. It's a process of reclaiming your ability to show up for yourself, honor your emotions, and create new patterns that lead to peace. Now, you have heard me say on the show before that I am working to help all of you build better relationships with yourselves so then you can build better relationships with other people. You've also heard me talk about how trauma wires you for isolation and protection, while healing wires you for connection. These are thoughts I stand by and stand on. And I've been thinking about how they fit into my little definition of healing. And here's what I've come up with. Healing does include trusting others, but I believe trusting others becomes a byproduct of learning to trust ourselves first. When we learn to trust ourselves, to make decisions that protect our peace and honor our needs, we naturally start to trust other people. It's a process that builds. As we reclaim our self trust, we can open ourselves up to building healthier, more connected relationships with the people around us. Healing can feel so intimidating because it feels like it can come at you from all directions. You can be feeling just fine, wandering the aisles of a grocery store when suddenly you see a mom being gentle with her daughter, and wham, you find yourself reacting, realizing that you never got to experience a moment that innocent. Or you see how easy it was for that mom to just be nice. And suddenly you're in a rabbit hole wondering why your mom had such a hard time or why you were so hard to love. Or you might find yourselves in a work meeting and someone's asking for ideas, and you have all of the ideas, but you get caught in freeze mode, afraid to say something, and you're worried that it might sound dumb, or you tell yourself that they're asking for ideas, but no one is actually asking for your ideas. Or maybe you find yourself home with your kids and you say something, and one of them just rolls their eyes in everyday kid fashion, but you feel that eye roll in your gut like a sucker punch, and you end up spiraling about what you said, how you said it, and what you should have said differently. Being a daughter can touch on all of these areas of your life. And so, Suzanne, when you ask, will this ever get better? This question shows the heart of the struggle. And yes, it does get better. But in order for it to not feel overwhelming, we need to break it down. So we start by helping you understand your nervous system and how it plays a major role in your healing. Then we walk you through your emotions, which brings us to acceptance, self knowledge, and self trust. It's from here that we get to your last question: how can I enjoy the life in front of me? Let's start with your nervous system. This is the foundation of everything. If you've experienced emotional neglect, narcissistic manipulation, or trauma, your nervous system has been on high alert for a long time. It's been trained to protect you, to react quickly to danger, whether through fight, flight, freeze, fawn. But here's the good news: healing begins when you start to calm your nervous system, when your body feels safe, when you're no longer constantly in survival mode. Healing becomes possible. Now, this is where it starts to get a little more nuanced and a little more layered. You have heard me all talk about trauma brain, and that's the part of you that learned to react to every situation as if danger is always lurking. Even though you're not in the same dangerous environment anymore, trauma brain still keeps you on high alert. It keeps telling you you are not safe, even when you actually are. Here's where nervous system healing comes in. It's about noticing the physical cues your body gives you when you're triggered, like that rush of panic, tightness in your chest, or tension in your shoulders. And then it's about learning to ground yourself in those moments. It's telling yourself and your body, I am safe now. You are safe now. This is the key to healing. It's self soothing, reassuring yourself that yes, your past was scary, but this is not that. You are not powerless anymore. You're no longer alone in that environment, and the danger isn't here. When you practice calming your nervous system, you're helping your body reconnect to the present, where you're safe and supported. Breathing, movement, and grounding exercises are all tools that can help you reconnect to the here and now when you are not in danger. And the more you practice, the more you teach your nervous system that it's okay to relax. You can handle what comes, and you are in control. Over time, you'll start to feel more grounded and less reactive to the past. And in order to be able to enjoy your life, we need to get you present in it. And helping you calm your nervous system is how we do that. Once you've begun to create a sense of safety in your body, it's time to move into emotional processing. And there is no sugarcoating this, my friends. This part gets messy and uncomfortable, but it is essential for healing. For so long, many of you have been taught to suppress or ignore your emotions, either because feeling them became too overwhelming or because it wasn't safe to express them. And as kids, feeling your emotions might have been met with dismissal, punishment, neglect, anger, sadness, or frustration. And all of that likely made you feel vulnerable, rejected, unsupported. And those moments, emotions felt dangerous because they exposed you to harm and further hurt. But this is not that. Feeling your emotions might still feel uncomfortable, but uncomfortable does not mean unsafe. You're not in danger anymore. Now you can let the feeling pass through you without the fear of rejection or abandonment. Emotions are meant to be felt and released, not suppressed. You don't have to fix them, you just have to experience them. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes, and the more you'll realize that you are not your emotions. They are temporary experiences, not permanent truths about who you are. The goal is to feel the emotion, to honor it, and let it pass without letting it control your actions. As you process emotions in a safe space, you'll begin to see your feelings as signals and not as threats. This act of emotional processing becomes an act of self-trust, trusting that you can handle whatever emotions arise without them consuming you or causing you harm. And now, the third piece, well, it is self-trust. This is kind of where the magic happens. When your nervous system feels safer and you have started processing your emotions, you can begin to trust yourself again. Trusting yourself means believing that you have the ability to make decisions that align with your needs and that protect your peace. And if you have spent a lifetime second guessing yourself, self-trust ends up feeling like a really big leap. But here's the cool part. Self-trust is built with small, consistent actions. It's deciding to listen to your gut when something feels off. It's setting a boundary and following through on that boundary. It's showing up for yourself even when you're scared or uncertain. And the more you do this, the more you start to believe in yourself. Self-trust is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Now, if you'll all bear with me here, I kind of want to walk you through an arc. We've got the nervous system safety, that is learning to calm your body and get it out of fight or flight mode. Then we have emotional processing, allowing your feelings to flow through you without letting them take control. Then we have self-trust, building your ability to trust yourself by making those decisions that honor your peace and your well-being. And the beauty of that process is each of these pieces feeds into the next. So the more you regulate your nervous systems, the easier it becomes to process your emotions. Then The more you process your emotions, the easier it becomes to trust yourselves. And this is how we work to get you to be present for the life you are in, the life you have built, and the life you are so proud of, so that you are actually able to enjoy it. Because here is a hard truth that not a lot of people talk about. Enjoying your life requires permission. It is not about being healed or having everything fixed. It is about learning to lean into joy, even when it feels vulnerable or unfamiliar. After spending so long navigating survival mode, embracing joy actually starts to feel like a risk. And you might fear that it's too good to be true or that it could get taken away. But here's the thing: healing isn't just about surviving, my friends. It is about creating space for joy to enter your lives again. When your nervous system starts to feel safer and you've practiced some emotional processing and you start working towards self-trust, you are starting to notice those glimpses of joy. And it might start small, like sipping your coffee in the morning or watching a sunset. And the important part here is that you learn to recognize those moments and give yourself permission to enjoy them, even if it's only for a few minutes at a time. Allow yourselves to feel joy without waiting for it to go away. And as you start to feel that joy, pay attention to how it shows up in your body. Is it warmth in your chest? A smile you can't hide? Notice the physical sensations, and then you can use them as your guide. The more you learn to connect to joy in your body, the easier it becomes to welcome in more of it. But the next step is just as important. Share your joy. For a lot of us, expressing joy feels vulnerable. It's like if we say it out loud, it's just going to disappear. But joy, it's meant to be shared. When you connect with others about your joy, whether you're telling a friend or even just journaling about it with yourself or talking to yourself about it, you start to anchor your joy and bring it into the present moment. You begin to teach yourselves that joy is real, that it doesn't need to be feared, and this is going to be super uncomfortable at first because it is vulnerable, and vulnerability is, quite frankly, super uncomfortable. But the more you practice it and the easier it starts to be to lean into joy, to express it, and to celebrate the small victories that you have won. And then the more you share your joy, the more it grows, the more it deepens, and the more it starts to become a more natural part of your life. But here's the thing. This is where it gets really scary, right? Vulnerability is scary, especially the vulnerability that ends up getting attached to joy. You might start to worry that if you let yourself actually enjoy it, the good feeling will be fleeting or that life will take it away. But life doesn't stay still. Things are going to get hard again, and challenges are going to come up. That is just how life works. And while it can feel terrifying to embrace joy, knowing that things might change. This is a sign of growth. This is the direction you're heading towards. Once you've worked through healing and you've built yourself some self-trust, you are going to be able to remind yourself that you're capable of working through and moving through hard times when they do come back around. And yes, it is going to be scary when things get tough again, but you're no longer facing them from that old place of helplessness. You've developed some self-trust. So with self-trust, you know you can handle whatever life throws at you. You don't want it to make you handle more. You don't wish for more hard things, but you lean into your capability. And then this is where vulnerability and joy meet. It isn't about always expecting life to be easy or perfect. It is about embracing joy when it shows up, even knowing that it won't always be this way. And then when the hard stuff does come, you trust yourself to get through it. You're capable. You've proven it. You have the tools to navigate the good, the bad. And that is why I am bringing you back again ad nauseum to self-trust. It is the belief that no matter what happens, you have your own back. And that, my friends, is where peace lives. Not in the absence of challenges, but in knowing that you can handle them. Suzanne, you are in a world of hurt right now, and I know that healing feels so very far away. But I'm hopeful that by laying out this path for you, you might start to see and feel that it's closer than you might think. And don't forget for a moment that you are in this community of women around the world who are on this path and doing this work right alongside you. They are in it with you. And I, for sure, most definitely, am in it with you too. Bye for now. I do hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you have a question you'd like me to consider for the show, please do email me over at heather@daughtersnpd.com. You are always welcome to share your story or questions by recording yourself using the voice app on your phone. For best recording quality, please do record directly into your phone without using headphones or Bluetooth speakers. We're building an incredible community as well over on Instagram, and I'd love to see you over there too. You can find us at Daughters NPD. Lastly, if you love what you've been hearing here on Mayhem and have found the show helpful in your own trauma recovery, please do consider becoming a Mother Mayhem sponsor by purchasing simple scripts for saying hard things. It's a resource I created that provides the right words for the hard conversations, and it covers life, love, and work. You'll find a link for that in the show notes. If you know another woman who needs this conversation in her life, please do share the show with her. Your reviews and social shares help spread the word, and I hope you'll consider doing so. Special thanks to Heather Clark for editing the show. She's in my head and knows what I meant to say when the words come out backwards. Thanks so much for your time today. As always, I'm in it with you. Bye for now.